A good day, everybody. How's everyone doing? Welcome to Monday. Welcome to Monday. Um, Housekeeping. Friday, we will not have a meeting because I have to take the day off because my 15-year-old is having ACL surgery that day. So I have to be around to take him in the morning and pick him up that afternoon. So um, I am, I'm alive. That's that's the, I'm not 6 foot deep. I'm 6 foot vertical. So that's a blessing. That's what I can tell you. I can say that. All right. Um, yeah. If you ain't got nothing good to say, don't say. Uh, body is not happy with me today. The body is so not happy with me today at all, at all. Um, anyway, we had a conversation on Zoom last night, and it's pretty much the topic today. And I wanted to talk to people about this new movement to um, that they're presenting to Christians, and many Christians are falling for it. I'm going to say I don't think that a true Christian will fall for it, but people who claim to be Christian are now espousing this particular new mindset. And you may have seen it. You may have seen it around on different channels and even in your own little, you know, um, events and stuff. And you might be a part of a group on Facebook that's a political group, even a group that might say they're religious. You'll hear them say they are truth seekers. Please let me know if you've heard people say, I'm a truth seeker, I'm a truther, I'm about the truth, I just want to get the truth. We need to get the truth out there. You've probably heard this line before. And I started to listen. I started to listen to these people, and I noticed a trend. The trend is linking this idea of truth to um, a mindset that this is what Christians are about. Okay. And you might say, well, yes, we are about truth and we are about getting to the bottom of things and getting truth and truth and truth. I hear you. I hear you. Except that they're not including the cross in this truth seeking. They view it as though if I just seek the truth about things, that makes me a Christian. The problem with the truther movement is that you will find them moving away from salvation and into a realm of knowledge. And they love this knowledge issue, what I know, what I have discovered, what I've researched. This has taken the place of faith and following. That is where this is going. You will find so many people just absolutely bound up in this idea of researching and truth finding and the history of things, all knowledge based. And they are linking that as though that is what you're called to do as a Christian. It is now taking over as the number one thing you ought to do, not followed by faith, knowledge, and not biblical knowledge, man made knowledge. They'll call it um, common sense, but it's not common sense at all. Like in any way, shape, form, or fashion is it common nor sensible to part faith for your so-called research. I mean, you can if you want to. I guess that's what you want to do. But then don't turn around and say that you follow Christ when He demands faith from you, and you're only going based on what you think you know as truth. Now, if it's confusing to you, I can understand why. Because there are many people out there and platforms now that we're living a very digital social media age. A lot of people get their information from social media, but there are tons of them that are pushing this idea of truth. Okay, let me find it here. Okay, so I'm looking up the term on YouTube, right? And every time you hear of the term truther, it's linked with a lot of the times the political leanings of conspiracies. Okay, what that has now been tied to is you'll hear people say this is part of prophecy. Um, if you are a Christian, you would be seeking truth. Well, if you were a Christian, you would already know truth and you wouldn't have to seek anything. You already found truth. There's nothing more to seek. It's you have the one that is truth. I don't know what more you want. I know you want to get to the bottom of this politically and that politically, but is that the most important thing? It has become the most important thing. Now people are linking everything to do with the political sphere to something biblical. Why? Because they're seeking signs and they're seeking wonders and they want to be the first to say, I discovered this. I saw the writing on the wall. And yeah, send it away, Laila, send away. It look, I'm going to read something for you. All right. There's one thing I want to read to put this whole seeking of truth to bed. Okay. There is a passage, and I think we can agree is readable by most. And it's in John 14. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would not have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again, receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. And where I go, you know, and the way you know. Thomas said, Lord, we do not know where you're going, and how can we know the way? Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Truthers now have to know everything about government efficiency and links to money and following the money. And they have now done that and put it into the realm of if you really believe in God, you would be thinking like this. How can you say you're a Christian if you don't know the truth about what's going on? Can't you see what is happening in the world? A truther would see it. This is the signs of the time, and a truth seeking person would want to know all about this. Meanwhile, ask them what Christ requires, and they can't tell you. They can tell you all about what happened in 1842 and what happened in 1965 and what happened in 2001. And they can tell you all the links there are. But they can't break down what it means to follow Christ. They can't break down what salvation is. They can't tell you how they came to salvation. They couldn't tell you diddly squat about the relationship they ought to have with Christ. They couldn't tell you that, but they're truthers. I think we throw that word around a little too much. If you were a truther, you'd be seeking after the truth. And from what we just read, I'm pretty sure it said it pretty easily, right? I am the way, the truth, and the life. How did we get to the place where we've now replaced following Christ with truth? We've actually replaced the truth with what we call truthing. How do you do that without the truth? And what is the truth of the matter? Is it we're supposed to follow our every inclinations and what we're supposed to investigate, or are we supposed to be trying to find that relationship with Christ so that when the time comes, we are not swayed? You know what I'm saying? It seems like we've kind of given up one thing for the other. This to me is part of the itching ear syndrome. And it all comes back to us wanting to feel as though we belong somewhere special. And if you know something more, you are much more special than the next person. It reminds me of that interexchange that we see in the Bible with the rich man, the publican, and the tax collector. Um, let's see here. Let's read that real quick. Let's go to Luke. We're gonna go to Luke 18. Let me find the exact spot here. So, and let's read this here. Also, he spoke this parable to some who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and despised others. Two men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee, another a tax collector. The Pharisee stood up and prayed thus to himself: God, I thank you that I'm not like other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, and even this tax collector. I fast twice a week. I give tithe of all that I possess. And the tax collector, standing afar off, would not even raise his eyes to heaven, but beat his chest, saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humble, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. Truthers love to say that they have this and they have that and they have the other, and everybody who don't believe them don't have it. They know of all the things occurring on the earth, and they can tell you this is a precursor to this part in the book, and it's a precursor to this, and I know this is going to happen. And if you don't, make sure you understand that there's going to be a transfer of wealth, and understand that this is going to be a place where you stand up and say this. If you listen to them, they have created a whole interworking conspiracy within the Christian faith that has nothing to do with Christ. Thank you, Lisa. Nothing to do with Christ at all. They do not have relationship as the number one thing. They have information as the number one thing. If they have info, they're in business in their mind. There's nothing wrong with investigating things. We do it all the time. But it has become now a spot where everybody that thinks something off, that's now become religion. Well, it's always been religion. It's now become faith to them. But they never really investigate the parts that could actually bring them out of that stupor. They investigate stuff to make them feel validated in their thought process. Let me ask you a question of you guys. Um, do you find yourself wanting to get more information versus foster a deeper trust of God? Do you feel like sometimes you find yourself slipping into the I need to know more in order to believe more category? I used to find myself there. Before I was content with not knowing, I had to know something in order to feel like I was a better believer. Of course, it didn't affect my belief because no matter how much I figured out and got to know, it really didn't bring me any closer to God. It brought me a lot closer to saying I knew God, but I was further from Him than I had ever been. I started to depend on my knowledge of things, but not my interaction with Him. I think many of us end up falling into this category where we believe the info is of greater import to our walk than it actually is. So, like, say I know that this is okay. Take for instance, our diving into the um, Abrahamic religion faith building right in Dubai. There are people that have actually invested nearly all of their time into trying to figure out if that means more than something else in the other. Meanwhile, the relationship that they're supposed to be having with Christ is not even there. They just want to know and see if they can figure out the times. And when it all said and done, they have nothing in their lamp. They spend all their time investigating, figuring out, didn't yield them anything. And it's a sad state of affairs that we've been, on a whole, led to this place. It's to the point where instead of having Christ influence your politics, politics have now influenced your view of Christ. Instead of Christ influencing your view of the world has now influenced your view of Christ. So technically, what you have is no longer Christ. It's another amalgamation of the worldviews that we've crafted into this image that we call Christ now. It is wild, but really it's par for the course. Because what we really want as humans is to feel as though we are the center. And I've said this over and over. We believe we are the main character when we're not. And when you have the main character syndrome, you end up putting yourself in situations and in stories in the book that don't apply to you. They simply don't apply to you. If Christ is the way, the truth, the light, why do we not act like it? Why is it? Hang on one second. Why is it that we keep seeking for something more or less, rather, because it's really anything that you're seeking aside from Christ isn't more, is less. But here we are. Here we are. We're in a dilemma at this point because while we want people to be saved and we want people to come to a knowledge of Christ, we encounter more and more people less interested in the relationship side of Christ, and they're more interested in what they can know, tell people they know, and show that they know. How do you convince somebody like that to move away from this knowledge thing into relationship? You can't. You can say, but you can't convince nobody about that. The thing about knowledge based faith, as I will call it, is that the intoxication is from you feeling like you know so much now. That euphoric discovery that you get when you say, I figured something out about this timeline, and that it makes you feel real good. So you follow it, you run with it. And before too long, you start looking to other things to give you that feeling again. You need that feeling again. So now you'll hear people say, if you were a real Christian, you'd be interested in the truth. How could you say you're a Christian, but you don't want to know this and about this? How could you not be interested in this bit of information, knowing that it could tell you everything you need to know about the book and the times? And did the book ever tell you you would know? Did it? Never told you that. But they keep finding, trying to find out, trying to figure stuff that you already told you're never going to figure out. It gave you some inferences of what might be timeline, but it never solidifies anything for you because you won't know. We were just talking about that the other day. I can't say one way or another. I'm going to try and find it and read it. I don't know. Reframe the question here, if you don't mind. What do you mean? I want to know what you mean by that. That particular thing that you're quoting is in Hosea. Um, Hosea 4. So let's go there real quick. Hosea 4. Maybe that's why people look to know more about God. No, because the knowledge that he's talking about wasn't book, wasn't theory. Hear the word of the Lord, you children of Israel. For the Lord brings a charge against the inhabitants of the land. There is no truth or mercy or knowledge of God in the land. Not knowledge of things done by God, knowledge of God. By swearing and lying, killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break all restraint with bloodshed upon bloodshed. Therefore, the land will mourn, and everyone who dwells there will waste away. And the beasts of the field and the birds of the air, even the fish of the sea, will be taken away. Now let no man contend or rebuke another, for your people are like those who contend with the priest. Therefore, you shall stumble in the day, the prophet also shall stumble with you in the night, and I will destroy your mother. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because you have rejected knowledge. And it told you what type of knowledge? Knowledge of God. I will also reject you from being priests for me because you have forgotten the law of your God. I also will forget your children. So there's a big difference of what they normally quote that like and to what it's actually about. This lack of knowledge isn't some kind of a book sense. This is a knowledge, an intimate knowledge, a knowledge of, not kind of like this book awareness or history awareness. No, 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 no. This is a knowledge of, intimate knowledge of, knowing him. We don't want to know him anymore. The people are running from knowing him. And you see that today. Everybody want to know something more than the next person. Everybody want to know something more than the next person. They want to prove themselves as knowing. Why? Why? Shouldn't you be wanting more an intimate knowledge of who God is as opposed to being able to regurgitate every word in the Bible? Because you regurgitating the word doesn't mean that you know the word, you know of it. You can repeat it, but that don't mean it actually takes seed in you. I don't know how else to break this free, but we're here now. We're here now. And you want proof of something? I've noticed this too. If you have a topic that you want to talk about that is meat based topics, like, say, prayer, Christ, your walk, people don't want to hear it. But you mentioned something about a red calf in Israel. What does it mean? And is this an end times prophecy? People flock to the room. Why? Knowledge. They want to say they know something. They want to say they're wise about it. They want to know the truth about what's happening so they can say, we knew. But try to talk to them about what the real meaning of their walk is. We get this all the time on both sides too. Like, both sides will have a conversation and people will be like, "Why don't you care about the kids? What about the kids? What kids?" And we'll make a whole episode about the trafficking of children, and we'll make an episode about abortion. Nobody watches, but they're after truth. See, they're not after the truth. They're after what they consider good knowledge to have. If they were pursuing the truth, they'd be there for the meat and potato conversations, not the sugar. But they love the sugar. Believers today are sugar addicts. They're diabetic. Diabetic. Yeah, I'll give you proof of this. Okay. I mean, I'm gonna do you a solid and do you some proofs. Okay. And I'll use my platform as a proof thing. All right. So I'm gonna type in anything I've done with prayer. Okay. I did a episode November 12th, the basis of prayer. That only yielded, um let's see here, 365, 337 views. That's it. 337. Okay. Now, I did one on satanic prayer with Chris Brown and people talking about it and everything. That one's at 700 views. Sorry, my bad. 1.2 thousand views. You see what I mean? If you talk to people about the stuff that will grow their faith, they don't want to hear. Can prayer change your mind? That video I did, and it's only at 600 views. But you throw some fluff, throw something conspiratorial in there, and people flock to hear. That they don't want Christ as truth. They want gossip as truth. They want something that they can say they know, something that they contributed to. That's now faith. That has replaced true worship. A man standing in front of you, talking to you about the word, is inefficient. You'll see this even on Smart Christian's channel. If he tackles something that's really controversial, people are in there. If he even decides to do a breakdown of the word, and I've watched his rooms, I've watched Corey's rooms. He'll do a Bible study live breakdown, he'll have maybe 500, 600 people in the room, if that. He has something to do with some kind of a conflict with somebody, or covering, say, Michael Todd, or some idiotic statement somebody made, 1,000 plus. Because we have become a culture of people that do not want Christ. We want an alternative version, and we've called it now truth. But you don't want the truth. You want truth to be spoken of as information. The more you know, the better you feel about your salvation, when you should be feeling safe in your salvation because of something you don't know. Faith in the one who did what he said he did. We don't want that anymore. And that is sad. That is a very sad indictment on mankind. It's not even about the view. Let me put it like this. If I typed in Christ is life, right? Everything that pops up is what Jesus gives you. Not that he is life for you. Everything I'm just typing in right now, I'm gonna show it to you, so you see for yourself what I'm talking about. And this will be a strong statement about where we have come to, as to what we've exchanged as Christ. This is the results for Christ is life. Christ is life. Let me put the capital, see if it makes a difference. His entire life, his life explained, history, this is all knowledge, right? Full documentary of Christ, what he does for everybody, right? Freedom. They don't talk to you about him. New life. They don't talk to you. This is from just typing in Christ is life. This is where we are now. This is where we are. The exchange has already happened in a lot of ways. We don't really want to follow Christ and die to self. We want to maintain self as though we know it. And that's why we follow Christ, because we know so much. He is no longer life. He's a person that gives you a whole bunch of stuff for your life to be good. He's no longer the reason you live. He is there to give you a reason to live. But while on the surface it is sad, on the surface it is, we were told that many would do this. They would not be here for it. They would leave the faith and not commit themselves to a life following Christ. We were told this would happen, and you see it right now. They will exchange the truth for a lie. That's where we are. That's where we are. So, in a lot of ways, while it might seem bad, it's good because it's the word being fulfilled in real time. In real time, it's being fulfilled right in front of us. That's a very good thing. Don't get too upset about it. In fact, you should rejoice at the fact. You should. We are seeing something that many people said would never happen. We are watching in real time the fulfilling of this book we read. Ain't that amazing? I think that's the most amazing thing we can ask for. I don't think it gets much better than that. And this is where whoever is to hear, let him hear, is stepping in perfect. If okay, so if you are one of those people that in your mind you're thinking you have to convince somebody, you don't have to. Your job as a believer is to present both in word and in action Christ. If they want it, they'll take it. If they don't, they won't. They cannot say they didn't know. They are without excuse. Your job is to plant. You can't control the soil. Your job might be to water, but you can't control the soil. Somebody might see the bloom and pick, but you can't control the soil. That's why I tell people I don't convince nobody. Either you believe or you don't believe, but that's on you. The word is pretty clear. It's not that difficult to read. It's really not. But when you go in with a preconceived notion of what you wanted to say, trust me, it'll get confusing quick. And you're going to end up just being frustrated and say, well, it says what it says, and I'm going to stick with it. And that's where you're going to stay. So I will leave this challenge with you. If you're reading the book to try and get more knowledge about what's happening in the world, you might be going about that the wrong way. I would suggest you do this instead. Get to the book to know the author, and what the author needs for you to see, he will make you see. Read the book to get to know the author, and what the author wants you to see, you're going to see. But you got to step into that water. You have to. And you have to realize that this journey here is not about us being and feeling good. This life is about us recognizing that we are not, but God. But God. It's not going to be a super long session because I think we get the point. But I think what we're going to end up seeing in the next few years here is a moving away from knowledge of God to a knowledge about and around and surrounding and information of, but not knowing God at all personally. We're already 80% there. Most churches don't care about the benefits of dying to self. They talk about the benefits of getting from God, wealth transfers, and God giving you this and God giving you that. And like life ain't enough. It is what it is. It is what it is. I had bad news about the Zoom last night, though. Um, and y'all may not like this, but it didn't record. Um, yeah. It didn't record. Just so you know. Got that bad news thing for you. I think it timed out. I don't know. Um, I'm going to look again to see and verify, but I think it didn't record. As angering and maddening as that might be, it didn't record. But it was an awesome live. Yes, I agree. It was a very awesome live. Okay. Now, if I manage to find it, I'll put it up. If I manage to find it, I'll put it up. I don't know. I don't know if I upset him. I don't. um, but it might take me a little bit longer to post it than I thought if I can't find it. Okay. And if you haven't checked out the Zoom yet, feel free to join next Sunday. I usually put the link up. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, let's do this. Let's put up the link for the next one now. Okay, let's do that. How about that? How about I go right now and I create post and I post it there. All right, it's up. All right. If you want to know when to join, go to the page, the YouTube page, and under posts, you will see it there. It should be the latest one. Just click on the Zoom link come Sunday at 4 p.m. and join the conversation. It's pretty good stuff. Yeah, it's good stuff. Please consider joining. We would love to expand the family. We can have a quite a few hundred people in there. So come join us. I think the most we've had is about 25, 27 people in there at one point. We would love to have more, to have a, more discussion. Okay. And you don't have to have your camera on, but it would be helpful if you have your microphone at minimum so you can participate in the conversation. But what we try to practice on Sunday is a each one has mentality. So if you interact with God in your life during the week, bring what He's shown you, done for you. If you have a concern, all that stuff is just, it's an open forum for the believers to be with each other. No, Brenda, I started at 8:30 because I have a bunch of stuff to do today, including seeing another home. Um, so yeah. Okay. We'll see what happens. We'll be back in the morning, God willing. Savage Patriots will be on today at 6:30 Eastern. More than likely, possibly, we'll be dropping a couple of recordings for both sides. I don't know if we'll be going live. We'll see. And but tomorrow will not be an early start. No, tomorrow will be a normal noonday starting time. I don't have anything going on tomorrow. Today I do. Okay. Love y'all, mean it. Scrolling at the bottom. Y'all know what to do. Don't have to. Just up there as an option. And we'll catch you guys then, if not Sunday. Bianca is still in a whole lot of pain. She's having a very rough go. Her times of the month are very, very hard on her. Very hard. We're trying to figure out why. And so it's been a challenge for her, but she's doing what she can do. She's fighting it. She's a trooper. She's a trooper. So she's doing okay. Thank you, Ben. So we'll catch up with you guys on the morrow, God willing, later today, God willing. Have a grand rest of your day. Wisdom calls to you from the streets. So please, 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 please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die,